Security. It is now time for me to introduce the first of this morning's speakers, Mr. Khoo Boon, Senior Deputy Secretary of the Ministry of Home Affairs, Singapore, and President of Interpol. Mr. Khoo began his career in the Singapore Police Force in 1977 and served as its commissioner from 1997 to 2010. Under his leadership, the force helped Singapore consistently maintain low crime rates and earn a reputation as one of the safest cities in the world. In 2006, Mr. Khoo was elected to the Interpol Executive Committee as Vice President for Asia, during which time he was instrumental in strengthening ties between Interpol and Southeastern Asian police forces. Mr. Khoo holds a graduate and undergraduate degrees from Harvard Kennedy School of Government and the University of Oxford, respectively, and has attended advanced management programs at Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to present Mr. Khoo Boon, President of Interpol.
Thank you, Chief McNeil, for those kind words of introduction. Fellow members of the IACP and delegates, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm honored to join you at this gathering of leaders of the global law enforcement community and bring you greetings from the 190 members of Interpol. I also take this opportunity to express my appreciation to President McNeil and the IACP and Chief Lansdowne and his fine officers of the San Diego Police Department for their gracious hospitality and warm welcome to this wonderfully vibrant city. I recall sitting at the dais in this very room 4 years ago, just a month after being elected Interpol President, and I'm grateful for the privilege of addressing such a distinguished audience a month before I stepped down. Having been a member of the IACP for the past 34 years, I value this conference as an important platform for us to learn about promising practices and to leverage on cutting-edge innovations in order to address some of the most pressing law enforcement challenges of the day. In this spirit of learning, I would like to share with you my thoughts on community policing in today's globalized world. Now, community policing is a local issue, so I hope you will indulge me as I make references to my home country, Singapore, where, as Chief McNeil has said, I was Commissioner of Police for 12.5 years. Now, community policing is not new and may now seem rather passé given the slew of newer concepts such as zero tolerance, problem-oriented, intelligence-led, and evidence-based policing, and concerns, of course, over budget cuts. Singapore, inspired by the Japanese Koban system, was an early adopter of community policing, and we introduced it in early 1980s. We engaged Japanese police experts who stayed with us for years to see the rollout of the scheme, including the training of our officers. We adopted many of the Japanese Koban practices, including standing watch outside the post, visits to homes, foot and bicycle patrols, attending community meetings, and providing non-core policing services. These neighborhood police post officers focused on community engagement, leaving emergency response calls and preliminary investigations to others deployed from larger stations. Well, we got the result we wanted, a quantum leap in community and police relations and a high level of trust in the police. However, by the mid-90s, we realized that the system was too labor-intensive and that the better qualified officers whom we were recruiting were finding their jobs insufficiently challenging, lacking the excitement of incident response and investigations. And given the tight manpower situation, we had to revert to having them patrol from cars, cut back the opening hours of underutilized police posts, and consequently reduced uniformed police presence in the community. Sounds familiar? Yes. We were then forced to devote our limited resources on vulnerable communities and strategic stakeholders to help them identify and collaboratively solve their problems. We painstakingly built upon the bank of public trust we had already established with the general public through 10 years of community policing in the neighborhoods. The community responded by not only becoming our extra pairs of eyes and ears, but also an extension of our arms and legs. 1/3 of arrests for major crimes have been made possible with the direct and indirect assistance of members of the public. This, together with the increased use of forensics and DNA databases, has resulted in crime clearance rates consistently exceeding 50%. Street crimes dropped as members of the public became more willing to intervene. And in the most significant example of actionable intelligence provided arising from this trust, just after 9/11 in 2001, a member of the minority Muslim community provided us vital information regarding a neighbor who had claimed allegiance to Al-Qaeda and was traveling to Pakistan for supposed religious studies. This and his subsequent arrest in Afghanistan led to the unraveling of a plot that surprised even us veterans with its ambitious objectives and detailed preparations. It was aimed not only to inflict massive casualties, but would have torn the very fabric of Singapore's multiracial and multi-religious society by destroying the trust among the various ethnic groups so resolutely forged since our independence in 1965. The plan was an ambitious one to acquire 17 tons of ammonium nitrate-based explosives to bomb the US, British, Australian, and Israeli embassies, along with other American targets, including businesses and US Navy and Air Force assets and personnel stationed in Singapore. A total of 15 plotters were arrested in December 2001. Subsequently, a video surveillance tape of potential US targets was recovered from the ruins of a house belonging to a close aide of Osama bin Laden in Kabul and provided the additional evidential link to other plotters. Further investigations led to another 26 persons being detained. It was a close shave and a reminder for all of us to further engage our minorities. Indeed, we have to make special efforts because you have to have a reputation for impartiality. And we fortunately had that. And our minorities are significantly overrepresented within the ranks of the Singapore Police. However, over the last years, the burgeoning economic growth, coupled with the declining rates of Singaporeans, has led to our economy being dependent on immigration and foreign labor. Today, 38% of the 5.3 million persons living in Singapore are non-citizens and non-resident workers. They bring with them their set of national values and cultural roots. As all of you know, such a situation presents obvious difficulties to the police, owing to language issues, as well as the potential of these foreigners to be affected by events in their home country. Furthermore, a new generation of Singaporeans whose values have been influenced more by the internet than by their parents or teachers were becoming more critical of authority and more demanding of police services. Before I left the police, we commissioned a study to review our police deployment and strategies, and I'm glad that my successor has decided to put our officers back to policing on foot and bicycles. He has somehow convinced our government to increase police manpower by around 15%. And he has led the police to even higher levels of achievements, Last year, our crime rate, which includes counting even less serious crimes like shoplifting and bicycle thefts, was just 600 crimes per 100,000 population, the lowest registered in the past 3 decades. There were only 16 murders last year, of which 1 remains unsolved, and fewer than 400 cases of robberies. The police also solved 87% of all burglary cases, which I think is very high by any global comparison. On some days, there were no reports of robbery or burglaries. Now, I know that many countries have achieved similar falls in crime rates, but we have achieved ours from an already low base. Now, another challenge that we face has been the ever-increasing international dimension to crimes. We live in a globalized world where people, societies, and markets are now more interconnected and interdependent than before. For an urbanized society like Singapore, the impact of such advances is felt even more acutely. The number of broadband internet subscribers in Singapore is almost double our population. The cell phone penetration rate is 150%. I wonder whether babies also own cell phones. Our port is the second busiest in the world after Shanghai, and annually, our mainland border checkpoint clears 100 million travelers. I think that's even more than the busiest US-Mexican border checkpoint just down the road. In addition, more than 2.5 times our total population entered Singapore as visitors by air last year. The phenomenal increase in budget airline connections has also resulted in more criminals than ever commuting by air to earn their keep. Why some of them can't even wait to commit their crimes after they land. They steal from bags of unsuspecting passengers while they are asleep. So, we have had not only burglars, pickpockets, and con men from the region, but also from as far away as Latin America, which is literally halfway around the world. And of course, with the proliferation of cell phones and high internet penetration, the criminal need not even leave the comfort of his home base, though increasingly we have found them operating from huge call centers in a third country. The threat of this international dimension was precisely why Interpol was conceived almost 100 years ago in Monaco and became a reality in 1927 in Vienna. As our very able Secretary General, Mr. Ronald Noble, likes to put it, every international crime is a local crime somewhere. Today, we have 190 member states connected through a secure 24/7 communication system, which allows them not only to share confidential information, but also screen against various databases of wanted and other persons of interest, stolen motor vehicles, stolen and lost travel documents, firearms, etc. This gives the police real-time access to criminal databases containing millions of records. Our unique system of notices is also used to alert member countries to fugitives, dangerous criminals, missing persons, or weapon threats that can infiltrate our borders or pose an international threat. Such tools and services are always available to all of you to facilitate international police cooperation. I encourage everyone to also extend these tools and services to frontline police officers, to border control points, and to specialized crime investigators. They can enable police across the region and beyond to quickly and securely exchange information and access Interpol's global databases. As for cybercrime, you realize that it is increasingly difficult to attribute where the attacks are coming from, let alone identify the criminals and successfully prosecute them. We all know that this is the main criminal threat of the future and have recognized that netizens are yet another community to engage. The Singapore Police, like many of you, has established an online presence via YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and smartphone applications. This is to secure the trust and cooperation of online communities and more effectively disseminate crime alerts, prevention, and public education messages. Now, from the few thousand likes that the Singapore Police Facebook garnered when we started it a year before I left, the number of likes has now reached almost 300,000. Now, this is a figure my successor loves to cite, as it is slightly higher than that of the FBI's Facebook. At the same time, we must always remember that leveraging on existing technologies is not enough. The criminals are quick to take advantage of the latest and most sophisticated tools to facilitate their nefarious activities. We, on our part, cannot build a future by perfecting the past. We must therefore focus our efforts on developing innovative solutions that will allow us collectively to take them on. In view of these developments and challenges, a key initiative that Interpol is working on is the Interpol Global Complex for Innovation that the Singapore government is building and providing free of rent. And the Secretary General, being an American, always insists on the best location, and we've given him a very prime location just opposite the US Embassy. This IGCI, when operational in 2014, aims to be at the forefront of innovation with regards to the development of police tools and services. It will focus on three main issues. One, enhance 24/7 operational support for the member countries that extends across regions and time zones, with a strong presence in Asia, where criminal activity is expected to increase significantly. Two, dedicated research activities on innovation and its impact on crime, criminals, and policing through collaboration and cooperation with non-police agencies, such as academia and the private industry. And three, innovation-based capacity building, aimed at sharing knowledge and new cutting-edge solutions with all member states. As part of its efforts in developing innovative law enforcement solutions, the IGCI will establish the Interpol Digital Crime Center, or IDCC. It will enhance capabilities against cyber threats by drawing on the strengths and experiences of member countries. It will also establish the strategic partnerships with interested stakeholders from all sectors and various parts of the world in the area of collaborative research and development, including test bedding. The IGCI has therefore been envisioned to provide a modern and future-ready platform to evolve and enhance the capability of Interpol in supporting the policing needs of its members. I'm glad that we've already received pledges of support in terms of expertise and collaborative arrangements, equipment, and financial support from members, including agencies that some of you in this room represent. In conclusion, law enforcement agencies around the world today face a myriad of pressing issues: terrorism, cyber and organized crimes, white-collar crime, technological threats, youth gangs, protests, ethical issues, budgets, and so on. At the end of the day, we must recognize that the police cannot work alone, and ensuring security is a shared responsibility with all our communities, including those in the virtual world. And in the real world that is increasingly interconnected and interdependent, we must also engage our international counterparts, leverage on technologies, and innovate so as to continue our shared mission of providing a safe and secure home for the people we serve. On this note, I wish you a fruitful and engaging conference. Thank you and good day.